Okay, students, welcome back. And so what we have left off was we got the equation. Now that we got the equation, we're just going to answer the follow-up questions, and we should be done with today's agenda of notes. So let's do number 5, A and B. Use the function you created for D of G to determine the following values. Well, let's just go ahead and use the equation because we made it. And we've done function evaluations before, where here's the function, here's the equation, and then we're asking you, please find D of something, or F of something. So we're going to plug in 4.25 for every G that we see. As a small reminder, D of 4.25 is a name. So we're going to leave the left side, but we're going to do PEMDAS on the right. I need help with 30 times 4.25. 1 point, well, that's two different numbers. 127.5? Okay, all right. $177.5? Okay. We're going to do it one more time in part B. And then actually on part B, we're going to write a sentence. Even though the question doesn't ask us, I want to write one sentence in part B so that we know what the numbers are associated with. Anyway, let's do it in part B. D of G is equal to 30G plus 50. And then now we're going to plug in 50. Uh, 30 times 50 should be 1,500, right? 1,500? Okay. 1,500 plus 50. 1,550? Okay. I actually want to write one sentence about this because on your guys' classwork / homework today, they'll ask you to write a sentence of what does this mean? What do all these numbers mean? Okay. Well, let's talk about it. We only have 2 units of measure. Is the 50 your miles or your gallons? It's actually going to be your gallons because this was the G or the X that you plugged in. And then, what is your 1,550? What label is that? Miles. Okay. So one sentence that we can write is, if the car uses 50 gallons, help me finish this up, you guys. If the car uses 50 gallons, then what? Yes. Then, sorry, what's that? Then, yeah. So this is one interpretation, and anything that is similar to this is okay. If the car uses up 50 gallons, the car can travel 1,550 miles. If the car has 50 gallons, it could travel this much. This is one use of creating an equation. When we try to create an equation, then we can call what's called extrapolate. We can kind of guess what the outcome is going to be. Okay, we have an equation. Okay, let's just go figure out what that number is going to be. But I do want to ask you guys this. Is it guaranteed that 100%, if we put 50 gallons in a car, it's going to, for sure, 100% travel 1,550 miles? No, it's not. Let's discuss this right now. Why not? What would be some other variables that will affect this not being driven 1,550 miles? Stoplights, AC, okay. Traffic, yes, okay. So it really just depends. Just because we have an equation, and I want to make this very clear with this year, whenever we have word problems, we can make all the equations in the world, but these are just what's called predictions, okay? Just like with the weather guys and everything, I'm telling the weather, those are just predictions itself. But this is the power of mathematics and science. We have an equation, we can probably guess what that number is going to be, but we can't guarantee 100% that this car is going to drive this much. Hence, when I wrote down my sentence, I used the words can or could, not must, okay? So just please be careful with your interpretation. It doesn't have to be as exact because there's just so many other variables coming into play. We're only looking at 2 variables. We're not looking at all the other variables like traffic and the AC and the car breaking down like that, okay? Any questions on this? Any questions? Again, we're only making predictions. Now, statement D of G equals 650 is actually asking you a question. Interpret the question that is being asked in the context of the given situation. Well, we just got to figure out what the units are. D of G. Look back on your table. D of G. Is that gallons or is that miles? This is miles. We're almost done. So here's a question that we could probably use. If the car traveled 650 miles, you guys help me finish it up. If the car traveled 650 miles, what kind of question can we ask? Yes, how many gallons? How many gallons did the car eat up, consume? Did it take? All of that will be acceptable. Again, some students get a little bit confused. Like, how do you know you have to use miles and gallons? Well, it's because those are the only 2 units that we are trying to figure out. So there shouldn't be any hours or seconds or minutes or any other units other than the units that you see on the problems that we have. Okay? The car traveled 650 miles. How many gallons did it consume? Last one for today. Use the function you created for D of G to set up and solve an equation to answer the question you stated above. Nice. So, we're going to get our equation just one more time. We're going to use it. And we're going to plug in 650. But just like on the last page, and if you don't remember, it's okay. Where are we going to plug in the 650? On this G over here or on the left side? On the left side. Because they're telling us D of G, this whole thing is 650. So cross off D of G and put 650. Now, this is looking like an equation that we have seen in the first couple of weeks of school. Solve it, please. Next step. Minus 50. 600 is equal to 30G. And then divide both sides by 30. 30. I'm going to put G on the left side, so apologies for that. Okay, let's give it a unit. G equals 20 miles or 20 gallons? 20 gallons. Now we've answered the question. How many gallons did the car consume? 20 gallons. Gallons, gallons. You know, a lot of times, like, this math is not useful unless it's attached to another course like science, chemistry, and biology. So hopefully now that when you guys do your science classes, you're a little bit more careful with your units. The units will help you guys kind of dictate what type of answer you're supposed to be having. Okay. All right.